Humans have been obsessed with color since the dawn of civilization. The quest for more vibrant and intense pigments began when we first started making marks on cave walls. Throughout history, color has been a powerful symbol, signifying status, sacred meaning, and beauty. Empires waged wars over the rarest and most coveted pigments, but one color stood above all others, a hue so prized that it was reserved exclusively for pharaohs, emperors, and gods. Tyrian purple was derived from the secretions of the murex sea snail. 10 to 12,000 snails were needed to produce a single ounce of dye, which could fetch as much as 2 ounces of gold. A fine Roman toga made with the dye could cost as much as $100,000. Roman sumptuary laws restricted the color's use to emperors and high-ranking officials. Emperor Caligula reportedly had a senator executed for the crime of wearing a purple cloak that he deemed too similar to the imperial shade. For centuries, the Phoenician city of Tyre maintained a virtual monopoly on the trade of the dye. A succession of empires fought over control of the city until finally Rome conquered all of Phoenicia. That brought the trade under Roman control for 700 years. Red is one of the oldest and most significant colors in human history. Its story begins tens of thousands of years ago with red ochre, a natural earth pigment rich in iron oxide. Early humans across the world, from Africa to Europe to Australia, used red ochre in cave paintings, burial rites, and body decoration. Its wide availability made it one of humanity's first tools for artistic and symbolic expression. The humble madder plant has woven itself into the fabric of human history for over 4 millennia, leaving an indelible mark on textile production and cultural exchange. In Egypt's Middle Kingdom, around 2000 BCE, artisans were already creating intricate, madder-dyed textiles. Traces of this remarkable plant were found in burial shrouds and mummy wrappings, a testament to its significance in both everyday life and sacred rituals. Madder-dyed textiles dating back to 2500 BCE have been found in Indus Valley civilization sites in India. By the Vedic period, madder cultivation was integral to India's sophisticated dyeing and textile industry. By the Renaissance, madder had become an important dye in Europe, valued for producing vibrant reds for everything from peasant clothing to royal attire. In the arts, artists like Johannes Vermeer employed a madder pigment called madder lake in glazing techniques to enhance depth and translucency. By the end of the Bronze Age, India had emerged as the world's premier textile producer. The economic impact of this textile trade was profound. Pliny the Elder, writing in the 1st century CE, lamented the substantial trade deficit the Roman Empire had with India, caused by imports of fine muslin, silk, dyed cotton fabrics, and spices. This trade made India the world's wealthiest region for millennia. By 2000 BCE, cinnabar, the natural mineral form of mercury sulfide, came into wide use in Mesoamerica, the Mediterranean, and China. Cinnabar is a brilliant red and was used to craft beautiful objects and was ground into pigment to create vermilion. The Romans used cinnabar to create the red in the frescoes on the walls of Pompeii. The Chinese used vermilion for imperial seals and tomb decorations. In Mesoamerica, the Maya and Aztecs valued cinnabar for ceremonial uses, often applying it to the remains of royalty. Cinnabar, however, is toxic. Archaeologists have discovered mercury contamination at Maya sites, likely from centuries of cinnabar use. In its 4,000 years of operation, the cinnabar mine in Almadén, Spain, claimed the lives of hundreds of thousands of slaves, most dying within a few years from mercury exposure. In the 16th century, the world was introduced to a red from the Americas that was a red like no other, a dye so vivid it dazzled the world. This extraordinary pigment comes from the tiny cochineal insect, which feeds on the prickly pear cacti. Cochineal was so precious to the indigenous peoples of Mesoamerica that it was used as tribute paid to rulers, similar to gold or cacao. The Spanish quickly recognized the value and monopolized the trade, enslaving indigenous peoples to cultivate it. Cochineal became the America's second most valuable export after silver. Cochineal red adorned the robes of kings, the vestments of Catholic cardinals, and the uniforms of British soldiers, symbolizing wealth, power, and prestige across cultures. Its unmatched intensity and remarkable ability to resist fading made it a prized pigment for artists, who used it to create some of history's most celebrated masterpieces. Beyond textiles and art, cochineal found its way into everyday life as a natural food dye, coloring everything from candy and sausages to beverages. Originating in the 16th century, mummy brown was a pigment made from the ground-up remains of ancient Egyptian mummies, both human and animal. It was prized for its warm earth tones and for glazing, shading, and creating flesh tones in oil painting. By the 19th century, as knowledge about the source of the pigment spread, artists began boycotting its use for ethical reasons. A member of the Pre-Raphaelite Brotherhood, Edward Burne-Jones, even ceremonially buried his remaining supply to reinter the human remains contained in the pigment. By the early 20th century, after centuries of desecrating ancient Egyptians' remains, mummy brown production ended. Yellow, one of the earliest colors used in art, has been vital to human expression for thousands of years. Yellow ochre, a natural clay pigment, adorned the caves of Lascaux in France nearly 17,000 years ago. In ancient Egypt, yellow was revered for its connection to the sun and divinity. The Egyptians used yellow pigments to decorate tombs and depict gods such as Ra, often blending yellow ochre with gold to signify immortality and the eternal. In the five-element system of Chinese cosmology, yellow represents the earth and the center of the universe. The Yellow Emperor was revered as a deity and the progenitor of Han Chinese culture. The wearing of imperial yellow was reserved by law for the emperor. Other shades of yellow were also strictly regulated. During the reign of the first Ming emperor, an official reportedly wore imperial yellow robes at a banquet, claiming it was an innocent mistake. The emperor ordered the official's execution, as the wearing of yellow was seen as treason and an implicit claim to the throne. The saffron-colored robes of Buddhist monks originated in India and later spread to other parts of Asia. The gardenia, pagoda flowers, safflower, and turmeric used to produce the emperor's imperial yellow, and the monks' saffron robes were all non-toxic pigments. But the pursuit of vivid colors led to hazardous ones like orpiment and realgar, arsenic-based yellows and oranges used since antiquity and prominent in Renaissance art. These pigments pose serious risks, as handling or inhaling them could cause poisoning. But that did not discourage artists from using them. For example, testing confirmed that Raphael used orpiment in his Mon Crucifixion. In 1847, Ferdinand Reich and Theodor Richter developed cadmium yellow, a brilliant, non-toxic synthetic pigment that soon replaced orpiment and was used to great effect in many modern masterpieces. For the first 200,000 years of human history, colored pigments lacked one crucial hue: blue. The first blue pigment, Egyptian blue, emerged around 2200 BCE. Developed by the ancient Egyptians, it was the first synthetic pigment and required a precise mixture of sand, lime, and copper containing minerals heated at high temperatures. Egyptian blue became one of the most sought-after pigments of the ancient world, celebrated for its vibrant, stable color and resistance to fading. Indigo, a deep blue dye derived from the indigofera plant, was cultivated in India as early as 2500 BCE. For thousands of years, it was culturally and economically important in Asia, Europe, Africa, and the Americas. India was the first global center of indigo production and was the prime supplier of Europe, Africa, and the Middle East for thousands of years. Along with the dye, India produced textiles for export that set the standard for quality for centuries. In West Africa, Mali became a major indigo trade hub. The local Tuareg people's indigo-dyed garments, such as the Tagelmust head wrap, earned them the moniker the Blue People due to the dye's tendency to rub off on their skin. Indigo was also used for the blue in the vibrant, multicolored patterns of West African kente cloth. In Japan, indigo dyeing, known as izome, evolved into a highly refined art form. Skilled artisans perfected a fermentation process that yielded deep, durable blue hues, which became a hallmark of traditional Japanese textiles. The discovery of the Bonampak Mayan murals in 1946 revealed a vivid blue paint that had maintained its stunning brilliance for 1,000 years. Even more amazing was that this blue pigment was based on indigo. No civilization in human history has been able to create a permanent paint pigment from indigo. The Maya developed a method to accomplish this using a precise combination of indigo and palygorskite clay and a precisely controlled heating process. The complexity and secrecy of Maya blue production may have limited its scalability as a trade good for the Spanish, so the process was lost soon after the conquest. Lapis lazuli from the Badakhshan mines in Afghanistan was prized for centuries in ancient Mesopotamia, Egypt, and the Indus Valley, where it was carved into jewelry, ornaments, and decorative objects. However, it wasn't until the 8th century CE, in the Abbasid Caliphate, that a method for extracting a blue pigment from lapis lazuli was developed. Ultramarine was first employed in illuminated manuscripts, intricate miniatures, and architectural decoration in Persia and Afghanistan. Venetian merchants introduced ultramarine to Europe in the 13th century. One of the earliest uses of ultramarine in Europe can be seen in Giotto's frescoes in the Arena Chapel, completed in 1305. The impact on the public must have been profound. No one had ever been surrounded by such intense, luminous blue. Ultramarine was more expensive than gold. Even in a big-budget project like Michelangelo's Sistine Chapel ceiling, the use of ultramarine was restricted to key sections and figures. The precious pigment was generally reserved for the robes of the Virgin Mary, as seen in Raffaello's Sistine Madonna and Titian's Assumption of the Virgin. Ultramarine reigned supreme for 600 years until 1826, when French chemist Jean-Baptiste Guimet created an affordable synthetic version, making vibrant blue accessible to all. As creatives advocate for safety and sustainability, innovations in materials science are expanding the range of affordable, sustainable, and safe pigments available for art, fashion, and design. Thanks for watching. Please hit the like and subscribe buttons if you would like to see more content like this.